Oh, welcome back to everybody to the South Star Classroom. Class is now in session for Omar and David. I'm Dr. Charles Cole, and we are your place where Black people, brown people, folks in the community, the lay person that cares about Black and brown people in education and cares about their community, this is where you come. Class is in session. We take all that stuff that they make super confusing for no reason at all, and we make it plain and we make it simple. We are the classroom. We are a resource for our community. And just for everybody out there to remember, we are a consultancy group first and a podcast second. And what that means is that we take care of ours. We make sure that we get in schools and we get busy and we roll up our sleeves. So if you need us, send us a message and we can work something out. But before we get to our amazingly special guests, let's talk to our amazing crews. Now, I'm going to come to you, David. I'm coming to you, Beard. But we got Miami Vice in the building today with the slick hair, with the jacket, you know what I'm saying? And the pink, the subtle pink in the background. I just did a post about missing Miami. Omar, you know everybody. How you doing, brother?
What up, dog, man? It's great to hear from you, David. Great to see you as well, man. We have an amazing guest today. I'm excited for her joining us. But, man, things are good. We're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with the school year. We're getting mobs of people interested in joining our organization and our school. It's like blowing up, man. Like we're thinking we'll be at 300 next year. Knock on wood. There are projections of like 500, 700 next year. It's nuts. So we're really excited. We're starting a sports program. Just absolutely incredible time, and parents are revved up and we are too, but I'm super revved up to see you gentlemen and incredibly excited for our guests.
Oh man. And let's go to the beard, man, the beard of wisdom, the beard of knowledge, the guy, my big brother and your friend, one David Castillo. What's up, man?
All right. Great to be here. I'm also very excited about today's show for a number of reasons. I think number one, for the topic, we're going to bring some light, hopefully some common sense light to this whole thing of parent and community engagement. We've all done the work from different seats on the bus. And I think number two, I also want to really appreciate our guest, Ms. Toya, for being one of our best supporters on this show from day one. So really glad and honored that she was able to join us today. Let's see what else is happening. I think, a lot of my clients that I'm working with, school-based clients, they're definitely seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. They hope it's not an oncoming train, but, people are looking at like June and the end of the school year. It's been a tough year for everybody readjusting, dealing with some charter school antics, as, we always do in Oakland, California, with some of the madness that's happening there. It's incredible, but not surprising. And my son turned 12 yesterday. So we're kind of doing a 4-day birthday extravaganza for him. So that's been a lot of fun.
Man, that's what's up, man. And before, I'm glad to hear about that. And before we get started, man, before we hop in, this is a parent takeover episode. Again, our job is to service our community and the people that support us and the folks that are in these schools as parents and as grandparents and on the ground. And when I met this woman, many of you know her as Mama Toya, Miss Toya, Miss Algarin. She goes by a bunch of different names. But when we started A Black Hands, the larger podcast, what we were doing with Sharif Ray and Chris, she was just one of those cats that came along from Philly. So that means she had a strong Sharif connection, but she jumped right in and became one of our top fans. And then when we started this, which was a separate offshoot, she's been in almost every single episode. So we said, you know what? Let's actually not just have her on the show, not just because it's a podcast, but this is a parent takeover. So she provided us with some questions and she's been hitting the ground running. I've seen her just grow so much since the first day I met her. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up a round of applause, a real one for Miss Mama Toya, everybody. Let's make some noise for her.
Yeah.
I'm actually clapping for you guys.
So, Mama Toya, why don't you tell the people just a little bit more about you, who you are, and how you became a fan of this show before we jump into some of your questions?
Well, actually, Cole, I just want to jump in there and Omar and David. Let me just tell you something. He is who he is. He says what he says, right? And I'm gonna tell about the first time I had an interaction with you, Mr. Oakland. I'm gonna call you Oakland for this
I'm good with
point
that.
of the conversation. Okay.
Hey,
So the Eight Black Hands have a book club, right? And we were reading The Education of Blacks in the South in the period of 1865 to 1930, right? And he broke it down. He was the teacher, he was the lecturer, and then he became like he gave me hell. Okay, you did, you did, and he told me because like when I got into the group, and this is another thing for parents. This is the first note from me from Mama Toya. When you get amongst educators, and a lot of time stuff that comes the way they talk to you and you don't understand the language that they're talking about, don't think that you don't have power. Okay, so when you don't understand what they're saying in that language, the first thing you need to do is, now can you break that down for me, because I don't understand what you're talking about. And at the book club, when Cole was teaching, I would listen, I was like, and I would ask a question and say, sorry, I'm sorry. And I kept saying, I'm sorry. And at one point, I need to see your face, Cole. Where's your face at?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I hate talking to myself. I hate talking to myself. But anyway, Cole was like, Toya. And that's when he called me Toya. I was like, yo, he just called me Toya. He said, Toya, don't ever think that you don't have power. He said, you have power. You are a parent. You know more about these kids than I do. Your kids are 30 years old. You have power. And from that second on, I'm telling you, Cole, right? From that second on, you empowered me. I regained my power. And I haven't stopped since. So I am a mom of three beautiful children. I have 7 grandchildren. Okay. And I became an activist when my son was hit by a car. First day of 10th grade, catching 3 buses to go to school when there's a magnet school right down the street from my house that he didn't get into. Okay. So when he was hit by a car, he had a traumatic brain injury. And from that point on, that's when I started learning more and started delving into education. So now just like for my lineage, for my little kids, for my grandbabies. So
Well, I mean, with one, thank you for that rousing story. I appreciate it. I didn't know that I had that impact on you. So it's good to hear. And today is your takeover. Like today is the day, you brought some questions for us. I got some of them written down, but you can go wherever you want. But you have these experts here at your beck and call. So where would you like to start at, Mama Toya? You are directing us.
okay, so I'm gonna start. I'm gonna blow you guys' mind. And Omar, I might call you Texas. I'm just letting you know. Okay,
Hey,
you know what I mean. I'm gonna call you Texas.
proudly.
But last week,
Again.
Omar and I totally agreed on what I guess our idea of is community teaching, right? And we were talking about, and I'm gonna tell you, Dr. Cole, I understand that teacher's job is not to teach parents, but often enough, we're always asking if children are learning and what children are learning. And a lot of times that's reflected in some test scores. That depends on the teacher as well, but it's also what children are learning, right?
Oh, Mama Toya, let me break real quick just so I can bring people along with us so they know what we're talking about. See,
Okay.
if you reference this, so we got to make sure we bring folks along. So last week we were having a really it was really impassioned conversation, and there was a slight disagreement between Omar and I, and there was a question from the crowd, Mama Toya, that said basically it had the roots around something around like a teacher's job in educating parents. And to which I said, it's not necessarily the teacher's job to educate parents. And Omar said, well, actually. And so that's what she's referring to. So I just wanted people to be able to follow the conversation. But continue, madam.
Well, okay. So also I sit on the board of KIPP Philadelphia Charter Schools. And I communicate with parents a lot, right? And one of their number one questions is, how do I help my children with their homework? especially if it's Common Core, and when you say 1 + 1 = 2, and they go around the block to get to the 2. And I understand going around the block. I understand that, you need to look at solutions in different ways, because it's like GPS, is not only one way to get there. But I want to be able to fortify what my child is learning in school at home.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm talking about. And I will tell you, Dr. Cole, I understand that teachers are not it's not their job to teach parents, but I'll be honest with you, in some of the parent groups that I've been in charge of, or helped run, we brought in specialists to say, all right, parents, this is how you teach your child how to read,
Mhm.
just giving us tips and ideas.
Gotcha.
So guys, what do you think about that?
So the first question that we got up is how do parents help fortify at home what's taught in schools?
I'll dive in if that's okay.
Absolutely.
And I'm speaking as a former teacher, former school leader, charter school board member, and now I'm a parent in a big district school. And so I think the answer to the question is before we talk about the what, I think it depends on the kind of school it is. Like, we could be talking about big massive school districts that work to do parent education around some very basic and general topics, like workshops around literacy, workshops around math, or workshops around social emotional learning, kind of watered down stuff, for lack of a better word or a better term. And then I think you start to get more specific with like schools like Omar's running, some of the schools that I've run, where we've been very intentional about what parent education means. Like, it's written into the charter. And there you can get a little bit more specific around, starting with, do parents understand how to read, like, report cards? Do they know how to understand different kinds of information? So basic, like, education literacy for parents. And then you can start to, depending on what parents want, you have committees set up. If you're talking with parents on a regular basis, they will tell you what they want. We want literacy. We want nutrition. We want, online safety. And then the school's role is maybe not to, like, teach those things, but to find a partner that can come in and help. So I think at the end of the day, the magic sauce here is, like, how in tune is the school or the school system with the parent community. The bigger you get, the harder it is to do that. So I'll offer that for now.
Yeah. You want to go ahead and jump in there, O?
Yeah. I want to take this into a bit of a different direction, because I think that,
and I see stuff and I got responses for the audience too. So you go right ahead, because I'm going in when I go. So go right ahead.
Oh, damn. All right, man. You're managing expectations.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
You got to get it ramped up. Get it ramped up.
I'm here already. I'm there.
Man. It's provocative. It gets the people going. I want to. What David was talking about is excellent and systemic ways of saying this is what we're doing with parents. I want to approach this from a bit of a different level and say, I've been a teacher in the public school system. I've been an administrator there, and now, like, I'm running my organization. And one of the things that we do that I think helps out with this is we hold these roundtable discussions with parents, and it is outstanding to just have an opportunity, not where you're talking at the parents, not where it's like the coffee with the principals and everyone thinks like this is parent engagement. It's like, no. We're going to give you these questions preemptively. Take about a week or two to think about them. We're going to buy some food. Come join us, and we're going to listen, and we're going to hear your thoughts. And I got to tell you, it is absolutely magnificent to hear the candid responses from parents, not just genuinely about this is the way that we feel that we should be interacting. This is how we feel that we should be chiming in on what's going on in the community. This is how we feel about what's going on in the school. But then sharing those vulnerabilities with us to simply say, I have a language limitation. How are we supposed to help our kids with this? I have a mathematic situation. How are we supposed to help our kids with this? I graduated from the 6th grade. How are we supposed to help our kids with this? Because that vulnerability allows us to then understand this is a way that we are serving this specific community because we're being responsive to their needs. That way, we're holding workshops with our parents that are guided, just like David said, to truly devise ways about what exactly do you need to provide support instead of making a bunch of random assumptions. And I want to get into this, Mama Toya. Like, I know everyone's in education has seen this poster, and I mention it often. It's like the kids looking over the fence at the baseball game, and it talks about like equal and fair. And, you know, equal, basically everyone's on the same level box, but you got the really tall kid and you can see over the fence, but then the middle kid can't really see over the fence. And then the small kid definitely can't see over the fence. So fair, the small kid has 3 boxes of support they can see over the fence. The middle kid has 2 boxes of support they can see over the fence. The tall kid has 1 box and they can see over the fence. And what I'm getting at is that I am a fair, not an equitable guy. Equity for all, like, what does that mean? I do what I think is fair. And what is fair to me is finding out the specific needs of our parents and providing specific resources for them. Now, understand me here. That means that maybe half of my parents need those support systems and the other half are good to go. Cool. What can I do for that other half that gets them engaged? That's remarkably minimal, but is enough and fair for them. And then how do I do a bigger lift for this other group of parents that need significantly better resources? This whole idea of we should be doing the same thing for everybody is, I don't know, inhumane and illogical. So that's just my opinion on it. But hopefully I revved the doctor up because, ladies and gentlemen, the doctor is in. I don't know what he's going to do, but I'm excited to see
No,
it.
you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. So I'm gonna do 2 things. One, I'm gonna respond to the dang on comments because yes, I'm gonna do that. And 2, I'm gonna answer the actual question, right? Like the question is, well, let me start with the answering the question. How do parents help fortify at home what is taught in schools? You talk to your child. You look at practice. You see how they can have conversations about it. You offer up real life situations, right? Like the reason that the math looks so different is because what they were trying to do is change students' relationship with numbers. So, you know, we learn how to carry the 1 and do that and all that good stuff. What they were trying to do is say, okay, here's how we kind of, you know, build a different type of relationship with that piece. But the way you fortify at home is you kind of test. You say, hey, like, show me that you can do this, or you know, you kind of have them practice, and you can ask your teachers for help and do all of that, right? I want to be very clear on that. Now let me address like these comments, right? So I did not say that it was wrong for a teacher to help help a parent in educating their kid. I did not say it was wrong for a teacher to stop what they're doing and educate a parent. What I'm saying is that some of these folks can barely even teach the kids in their class. You can't fully expect them to stop what they are doing and then also educate parents. And if we're talking about middle school and high school, you're talking about 5 classes with 25 kids in it. That's just not a realistic it's just not realistic, right? What you can do though, is that you can send things home. You can ask as a parent. This is the part where your parent power comes in. Don't expect them to just say, hey, Toya, this is how you should be teaching this at home. But if you have an issue, like, hey, here go my questions. Here's what I need some help with. I think that the majority will help you. And if they don't, you know what I'm saying? You got YouTube University right there at your beck and call. Like, you know, hey, you can actually look up ways to kind of talk about this thing and make sure you have a different grasp. And to the parents out there, I know, Toya, you talking more about elementary, maybe early middle school, but there's going to come a time in middle school and high school where they're going to leave you. They're going to leave what you know. Even me with the degrees I got, even Omar, even David, things evolve. And like, that school's apparatus's job is to educate your child, is what I'm saying. So it just goes back into your level of agency, Miss Toya. I was not saying it was bad or it was wrong. And so the comments that I got that I wanted to This comment right here, you can't resist educating parents, and then when the kids don't perform, blame a lack of parent involvement. Nobody said that. That was never said. I want to be very clear. I did not say that at all. And then the other part was around, it just was around like this expectation. Let's be real. We talk on all of the shows that I'm on 8 Black Hands, on this show, Chris and Sharice Friday show, the old show that Omar used to have. We talk about the inadequate levels of education that students is getting. Now we ain't even fixed that yet. Now the parents need to get that education too. All y'all gonna be wrong. Everybody gonna have wrong answers on the test is what I'm saying. That's all. I'm not riled up. I just wanted to address that because I did not say that it was something wrong with working with parents. You should work with parents, but to expect it, that's a fool's errand.
A public service announcement for all educators out there. We got 2 comments that came in, both related, from Michelle Johnson as well as Maya Woods. Teachers, please do not send home homework that the children have not been given instruction on. That is extremely inappropriate. It's awkward. It's frustrating for parents. So PSA over.
Yeah. Well, so that's one of them. So how was that answer for you though around fortifying what's taught at school in homes? And we're gonna write this up for you too, Miss Toya. And for everybody that came and is supporting Mama Toya, make sure you like, that you comment, that you share. Let's get her everywhere and get her blown up. Because of her questions, you're gonna have a new resource that only exists because Mama Toya came on this episode. So thank you for that, Mama Toya. But talk to us about if we address that question.
I would say you did, and just to be clear, what you're saying, David, is, and what you said, Cole, is true. It's more for the elementary school. It's more for like K through like 5, where because I don't even want to know calculus. Okay, I'm like, look, it's okay. You're in school, you do the work. I don't need to know calculus. I don't need to know those things, but like I say often enough, I just know that when I get home and my grandchild is probably doing a math problem and I can't help, that hurts. That's what I'm saying, And the other thing is that what you guys did say is really, really important, because when you guys talk about parents who probably didn't have a good experience at school, and they go in and hear it's like triggering, and it's starting all over again when they have a child that's like learning the math and the parents can't do the math. But the other thing to bring up is the fact that a lot of times people do say that, like, Black and brown children can't do math or whatever. And I just want to, throw that out the window, get rid of that stigma, and open it up to parents and families learning math together. And I know and you're right, Cole. I understand that teachers cannot, teach parents too, but I also think there should be like a family resource center at a school where, parents can learn as well.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that they can't. All I'm saying is that if you expect it and you're not pushing the issue, you're not bringing it up, you're not exercising your agency, you can't be surprised that it's not happening. And somebody, again, I go to war with the people in the comments, man. Something somebody without kids would say. It's something that somebody who educates people and pushes teachers to be their best would say. That's why I work on parent agency. So you know what to ask, so you not expecting it. Closed mouths don't get fed. But what was your next question that we got for you?
So I wanted to know how do you guys empower parents, engage parents in the school? How do you have an open door policy? Can they come in? Do they sit in classes? Do you have them on speed dial? Do you call them when the child is doing good as well as doing bad? How do you engage parents?
I want to defer to Omar on this one because he's actually running the school right now. I think he's sitting in a school.
I am actually. This literally says school.
There you go.
with the Miami Vice theme music in the back.
Super Miami Vice, man. It's like I never left the 80s, never wanted to. Mama Toya, all of the above. Absolute open door policy. Parents can sit in any class. We openly welcome them. Two, we have a full parent center at both campuses, computers, coffee, ESL resources, GED resources. So we're giving parents not only an excuse to be at the school and provide support, but we're actually providing services. Get your GED here, get your citizenship and pass citizenship test. And we have all those resources as like, hey, come on in and like hang out with us. The Eastside campus, not only do we have that parent center, we have an entire co-working philosophy where we have adults and parents just co-working here and allowing that opportunity for kids to meet, see, and greet them. But I think I want to drill this down. We're calling parents a ton on the positive things that they're doing. We have weekly celebrations for middle school and high school kids where we invite the parents to come see children garner awards, not for perfect attendance, not for grades, but for the skill set that we're encouraging about collaboration, responsibility, critical thinking. Those are like basic outfits of how we empower parents. But the most important thing, I think, is those roundtable discussions where we're openly preparing them for difficult conversations in a safe space where they can absolutely voice their concerns and not only their needs and their vulnerabilities, but really about, hey, what do we need as parents and how can we survey our parents to get a great understanding of what it is, the support that they need. So yeah, I mean, we're talking about a very holistic approach.
Yeah, I'd add just quickly, in addition to your points, Omar, yeah, I think the more open, the more transparent, the more accessible, the better. Obviously without disrupting school operations, but allowing parents in classrooms and allowing parents to observe lunchtime and other school events for sure, and making sure that when parents show up, they feel welcomed. It's not like
Yeah,
and I don't,
dude,
I don't use a bad I don't want to use a bad analogy, but like you want it to feel good, right? Like, hey, these people value me, and you come to the office, and they're happy to see you, and you're not pushing to get into a school, right? Number one, I think that's important, and then the other piece around empowering and engaging parents, and it just totally slipped my mind, and it was a very good point, but it'll come back. So I think making sure that the schools are open and accessible is really, really important.
Yeah, and I know I said we don't have to all answer each other. I'll be quick. I think making sure that you make things plain for parents. I think making sure that things that you send home are easily understood. And I think that is also just being very clear what you need parents to do. Yep. And I think vice versa. I think parents need to communicate to educators where they are and what they're working on. I think educators should also communicate with parents so they can work together. But at the end of the day, if you a parent, my talk is always going to be around you driving the bus. You know what I mean? Because that's your kid, and they will fail you if you don't. So,
yep.
How was that? Go ahead, Dave.
This thought just came back, and I think it's an important one because on this show we tend to talk about like schools that are predominantly like Black or Latino, but I've run schools that are by design diverse. And so engaging in that kind of setting is a bit different in that the school provides information going out in different languages to parents, kind of uniform. Here's what you're going to get from your teacher. Here's what you're going to get from the administration. Here's how you can come and engage. In those settings, you tend to pick up the phone or get emails from maybe like 20% of the population. 80% of your time is taken up with 20% of the school demographic. And if it's a diverse school, that means it's going to be parents that have more time, more awareness of how to do this. And it tends to be like, white or upper income parents, right? And so when you're engaging with parents, just for leaders to be mindful that they're not falling into the trap of responding to the needs of a small group within your schools. Consider the parents that aren't reaching out and why are they not reaching out? And how can you help to make the school a more welcoming environment for the parents that you are not hearing from?
I was Cole, please keep us 4 there. I don't want to see myself, please. Thank you. Sorry, I say that all the time. I rather like it's a conversation. It feels weird. But anyway, I was in a conference the other day, and we're talking about DEI work and stuff like that. Speaking about what you're speaking of, it depends on the culture too, because some Asian cultures, they're taught not to speak up. They're taught to be, laid back and like I guess a little bit quiet. That's the other thing you need to realize is like sometimes parents just don't feel comfortable speaking up. But Maritza, you see, I got all my parent advocates in the audience there. So Maritza was talking about, she was like, parents need to feel welcome, and that's huge. Parents do need to feel like they can walk into the school and they can come talk to teachers about maybe some personal issues. I know that when I was going through a divorce, I knew my kids were going to act up, and I was like, heads up, this happened in the family yesterday, but that just might be me. But I'm just saying, I mean, it's always good to build a relationship with the school, right? And the other thing, to what Omar was saying about, having parents and teaching parents and, finding out what parents need, that resource center or having a parent group, or a parent organization in the school is huge. It's huge. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
You did good. What's your next question? I just want to make sure we answer your questions for you.
I know, right? I'm going back and forth looking at the notes and stuff like that. I'm really highly energetic right now, especially after I just had this afternoon with a photo op and the governor of Pennsylvania. Okay.
Go ahead. Let us know.
But
talk your talk.
Wait, Cole. Listen, Cole. You'll be even more excited. Last month, I went and spoke to the educational commissioners because they were voting on some kind of rule, whatever, and they needed a parent. Yeah. And I went, but I kind of threw everybody in the room off because what I did was bring the conversation back to the children. And I really did say, I told them, the commissioners, the person who's in charge of education in Pennsylvania, okay, talk to him. And I was like, guess what? I don't see not one of you guys look like the people in my neighborhood, and you're making decisions for them.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's where it should be.
When you're talking about things, and I stood up, like I'm testifying, right? And I stood up and I turned around and addressed the audience. I'm like, everybody in here has something to say, but do you really want to know how I feel? I'm here for quality schools, not only charter. I'm talking about quality schools, Catholic, public, and charter, because my kids went to all three. So I know how that is. And exactly what Steve's saying, how are the children? But anyway, back to these questions.
We got you. You own it. What's the next one?
The next one is, how do you suggest parents activate agency in schools when bullying issues occur? That's like, ooh.
I had a question for you when you wrote that to us. Do you mean bullying of students or bullying of parents?
Both.
Okay. Well, since it's agency, I'll take
bullying,
it first.
Bullying. Just say bullying, because I mean, yeah.
I mean, here's a note that I always give, and I've always gave this even when I was a social worker. You should write down what the issue is and write down what you want to say. Have it. Because you think you might have it. You think that the emotions won't get the best of you. You think you won't get nervous, but that's not how it works, and you'll forget something. Take copious notes, and then always know who the next level is. So if you are feeling bullied, then you need to know who the boss of the person that you feel bullied by is. This is for parents that feel bullied, or parents that are made to feel a certain way when they walk in school buildings. You need to know what the chain of command is. You need to know what an ombuds person is. Raise your hand. Miss Toya, I'm sure you do, but do you know what an ombuds person is?
I'm sorry, no.
Got you. So an ombuds person, especially in traditional schools, for you parents that's out there listening, most traditional districts have what's called an ombuds person. So that's like if nothing happens in the school or you feel disrespected or disregarded or whatever the case is, there's a person whose job is at the ivory tower to just take your complaints and make sure it gets followed up on. But you want to make sure that you are documenting all of this stuff and, try to connect with people on a human level. If your child is getting bullied, you need to walk up there like your kid, like your baby is getting bullied. You need to understand what's happening. You need to kind of lay down the law, what you want to see happen. And then sometimes you can actually, honestly, I've seen those cases work out the best when kids were involved, when parents talk to each other. When a parent sat with another parent and they talked it out, and the school didn't even have to do anything. Usually when the school gets involved and stories get and they take sides or whatever, that's when it kind of goes a little crazy. So that's my advice around the bullying, both for students and for parents. I will yield it to my South Star Classroom brothers, though. They might have something different to add.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing to add, I think it's important. You can call it whatever you want, chain of command, but yeah, you start with the teacher, then you go to maybe a vice principal, then principal, then area superintendent, and then you know what? Now I'm at the board meeting and I'm talking to everybody and it's on tape, right? Mm-hmm. So knowing that there is actually a hierarchy, so you're moving through the system. And I think the other thing which hasn't been mentioned is, and this is like for school leaders, bullying happens in every school, right? And in some schools, it happens a lot more than in other schools. But what's really important for school leaders and system leaders is to just be aware and make sure that your curriculum, your school system, the way that your instruction is set up, your advisory programs, your grade level systems are set up, and that you have an actual curriculum around anti-bullying or that addresses that issue. You can't not teach it in schools and expect it to not happen. It's going to happen. And so you have to have systems in place. And that's a good question for parents of like, outside of what's happening to my child, what is the school doing as an organization to prevent bullying? Show me your curriculum. Show me what you are doing. Start there. You're probably not going to get an answer, but it's also a good place to start.
Mm-hmm. You got anything, O?
It's great. Yeah, I got a little bit of a different direction on this. Look, I agree with most of these comments here. Here's where I've seen this happen, and I want to put a bit more response. This is the guy who takes a ton of responsibility for helping out parents. This is where I ask the parents to step up and be accountable. One, inquiry first. What I get is I see a ton of parents who don't have the understanding of the duality or the multifaceted. I'm being super fancy with my words. Why? There's like not just two stories, there's 8 sides to the story. So let's find out what the sides of the story are before we start coming in and screaming and talking about my child's being bullied. Dude, like 9 times out of 10, they're like, my child's being bullied. Then we do the inquiry where we're finding out that the reason your child is screaming bullying is because they're the one instigating it in the first place. So inquiry first. Investigation must happen first, and we do a deep dive and we take the time and responsibility to find out the necessary information before starting to blast people and kids with a fire hose. The second is the parents oftentimes be like, this is happening at school, you resolve this. And I'm like, there is so much that's happening outside of the school hours with social media and texting that you're deciding to displace the entirety of the responsibility of your child's either bad behavior, because they're the ones bullying, engagement, they got bullied, now they're bullying back, or sadly, just straight up like this is happening and they haven't told anyone at the school that this was happening. So then we're like, this is the first we've heard about this because all this was happening on social media. And they're like, why haven't you done anything about this? And we're like, why haven't you come and told us about this? We're not checking out kids' phones. So then what happens is that we then ask the parents, all right, here's what we're going to do. I want you, the parent, to come to the school and your child. You're going to be with our trained counselor, the other parent and the other child. David was mentioning this, and you all are going to peer mediate this one out or mediate this one out, because ultimately these things span well beyond the school doors, but we're going to provide the structure, the time, the place, and the resources to hash this out. And I have parents being like, that's your responsibility. You take care of it. And I'm like, when this is where I push back and be like, when do you want to step up and parent? Like today, like
there you go.
Your child, and this is happening, and now that we're asking you to be accountable, you're pushing that accountability off And straight up, man, like people don't want to be held accountable, nor do they want to step up. And it's badass when our parents do step up because 10 times out of 10 it gets resolved.
Mm.
And
That
they're
man
always like,
said 10 times out of 10.
and to like put the tension on this child and all this other stuff. Like, that's not going to solve a damn thing. Y'all know it's not. That's why we've completely rearranged our entire punitive system at this school. Just echoing what David said, we also have this incredible curriculum that knocks out 80% of the bullying because we've devised a culture here where it's not only condoned, but people are excited to be themselves, excited to be different, excited to be smart, excited to be weird. It's openly celebrated. And that's, man, that takes care of 80% of this stuff. So
Yeah.
I just saw his comment. So I'll step off my soapbox here.
They're coming after you. They're coming after you, Omar.
As they
No,
should.
I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty. I mean, look, I'm a grandma, so I'm the first thing I'm gonna say is like, you're responsible. That stuff a lot of that stuff starts at home. Okay, you know what I mean. So like, but I have to watch the way I do it because I am a grandma and I have 30-year-olds, and you know how it's gonna come out. But I also want to say, Cole, I just want to give big ups because I have two of my family members in the last couple of years. They are teachers, and Chris, that's my niece, and she's a teacher in DC, and now my daughter is a teacher as well. I just want to give.
Is this the Chris that was this? Is that this Chris right here that's in the comments? How you doing, Chris? And Chris, you have an open invitation to come and join us and be a part of this panel and have this conversation. So, yes.
Also, I just have to let me just shout out one more person. I'm so sorry because my whole literary society is in this. And
do whatever you need to do. We're gonna give you the screen. Go ahead.
They're in the comments and they're viewing. So yeah. All right, next. Oh, there. Hi, Mom. See, that's my daughter. And guess what she does, guys? She teaches health with a flair of graphic design. She graduated from Moore College of Art and Design.
Yeah, you should ask her how she'd feel if she had to educate all those kids and all their parents. But
she tried to take a. No, it's funny because she tried to take a bullhorn to school. She's like, "Mom,
she gonna say, Mama, you tripping." That's what she gonna say. But all good. And you can come back anytime you want to, Toya. Again, we're gonna build this resource out, and we'll have it out by next week. Give us a week to do it. But let's get to your next question. I want to make sure we get you had a few of them.
Got it. And this is almost back, and I don't know if we really answered it quite the way. How do teachers build relationship with parents? So that's the opposite of us building relationships with teachers. I want to know how you encourage your teachers to build relationship with parents.
I have a fun one for that. I'll let the fellas go first, but I do have a fun one for that one.
Yeah, I feel like all my answers are super politically correct. It's just my style, but I would say, open communication, regular communication. And I think for a lot of teachers, that's hard. Like stepping into, and this is connected to the bigger point of like when you have teachers you have white teachers that don't necessarily, they're not teaching white kids, right? And so you have this cultural disconnect. And what we tend to see a lot in the communication is a deficit mindset or deficit forms of communication around, like, I don't want the first call for my kid in September or October to be about something negative. Fine, my kid did something, my kid's gonna do something, right? That's what he does. But start out with general communication. What is your class about? How do we get in touch with you? How can we come visit? And share positives. You share 2 positives and 1 challenge, right? Or 3 positives and 2 growth areas. I think the challenge around building relationships, what I've often seen is teachers that struggle to have open communication with parents that communicates to parents that they actually care about kids. They don't need to be a parent. They don't need to be a superstar, but you need to know that these people genuinely have your child's best interest at heart. And I don't put that on individual teachers that are newer in the game. It's the role of schools leaders and systems to provide that kind of training in schools. used to run PDs for teachers. All we're going to do is we're going to spend 3 hours preparing you to have effective fall parent-student conferences. We're going to bring parents in, and we're going to model for you what it looks like to not piss parents off within the first like 3 minutes of your conference, right? So I'll leave it at that.
Right on, man. I'll jump in quickly. And again, man, David's echoing so much of what we do and so much of what we believe in. So just shout out to that. Two, it's my opinion that best relationships are built. Yes, the formality, yes, during regular school hours, but here's just a quick story, a quick example. We host a ton of community events, and they're awesome. Dia de los Muertos, Posadas, these are all like centered around our like Latin American, Mexican American culture. We have these like blowout cool events that our teachers are there. And those are the best times to build relationships with teachers and parents, because it's like after hours, you know, people like eating pozole and you're just chilling. And it's an opportunity to connect with parents outside of the normal disciplined discussion simply about this, about your child, but really about, hey, like your kid did this and this was awesome. Here's something that we're really celebrating. And it's those quick informal moments where two humans can build that relationship outside of the teacher parent paradigm and just human paradigm. And that is incredibly strong, because then they build rapport. And then what happens naturally is communication, and that formality starts flowing a lot more. Just straight up like, yeah, there's text messages being sent about this is great and this is what's awesome and this is really like something that happened wonderful today. So it's to echo what David said, but to build that rapport. Really, really quickly, I just want to address Chris WYA in a comment that she made about we have a rigorous social emotional curriculum, but bullying in the school is incredibly high. Just like David said, pro tip, an SEL curriculum is outstanding, but it is not what builds school culture.
Right.
Hire the South Star classroom. We are absolute experts in building a school culture methodically from the ground up, and that is what takes care of 80% of the bullying situations, is developing the culture from the ground up. Because what most schools do is not develop any culture, let the kids develop the culture. And that's Lord of the Flies, man.
Hey, first off, amazing book. One of the first books I read cover to cover. Two, and here's another reason why you need to hire the South Star classroom. So here's one of the things that we would do. So I did this when I was a social worker. I did this when I was coaching educators. I would have a session where I'm getting food. There might be a chair masseuse. There might be some wine, and we're just making calls. And in that call, we're saying, how you doing, Miss Toya? I have your daughter, Chris, in my classroom. No, she's not in trouble. Let me just, I love having her. Let me tell you what I see in her. And I think when you have that, when that first call is like, we're in this together. I'm not judging you. I'm like, I have a role and you have a role. It's going to make it easier when you actually need to work together on something. So one of those exercises is treating your teachers out to a nice night. You know, we might do it on campus or off at somebody's space, and we just go down the list and we make first phone calls. And that first phone call is not just saying hi and introducing yourself. It's also, and here's what I see in your child. Here's the potential that I see. So that's the difference.
So
exactly. Exactly. So, how would you feel as a parent, right? Let me ask you this, Mama Toya. Has a teacher ever called you and said, no, they're not in trouble. I just want to thank you for the honor of being able to educate your kid. And here's what I see in your kid. And here's how you can reach me throughout the year. Here's what my job is. And here's what I expect you to do. Now, if a teacher called you on that for the first call, how would you feel about that person?
I feel great. I feel excellent.
And guess what?
That's my part. Here's my phone number. Put me on speed dial.
And here's the thing. Teachers also feel that's also a good activity for teachers. You feeding them, you treating them to something nice. You know what I'm saying? You might give them a libation here or there. You don't want them too drunk or whatever, but we monitor that. But that's one of the ways that teachers can start the relationship off in a better place. Because if the first call is you critiquing my parenting, we're gonna have an issue.
So if I was in the comments, I would ask you to put the link to, is that a book? The South Star curriculum.
We are the South Star Classroom. So thank you for that. That's a good segue. So in this podcast, we are a consultancy first. So there's reports that we're working on right now. We're going to take your questions and we're actually going to build out a toolkit based across on your questions that will go out and serve parents. But we also are available to do deep-rooted consulting with schools across the country. So if a school district is saying, hey, how can I actually help my teachers build a better relationship with their parents, this is one of the things that we bring with that.
So when will that be ready? Because I would like to take that to a school in September. Like
Gotcha.
you guys, yeah. I mean, just to start off the next year, right? Like I know you're going to be busy,
Yeah.
so when I give you the call, because we could use that, okay, especially and it's via Zoom. So yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you.
And here's the thing for parents that's listening. Parents, you can do the same thing. Parents, you can say, hey, my kid came home, they raved about you, they said this and that about you. I just want to let you know, yo, my kid looks like they're gonna have a good time. Here are my kids' quirks. Here's what you should call me on, but I'm looking forward to being your partner. It can go both ways.
You know, I actually teach a class at the beginning of the school year for parents and how to develop a relationship with their teachers. And the first thing I'm like, take some apples to school, right? And give them to your teacher, you know? And I mean, and it's like, it's about building a relationship. Earlier, Dr. Cole, you were talking about with the bullying and stuff. And when you need to go talk to your teacher, have know the information. Know your child's test scores. Know where your child is. So that you can because most of the time, if there's a bullying issue and a parent goes up to the school without writing down that information, you'll get emotional, right? And the best of you might not come out. So if you do have it written down and you document these things, you know, that's a better building relationship with teacher and parent. So my next question is that where I'm up now?
And I'm gonna link. There's an article that I wrote that's in Ebony magazine. I wrote this a long time ago that actually gives parents those questions that they might want to ask. I'll get those loaded up while you ask the next question.
Yeah, that's a great piece.
Okay. So my next question is, how do you, meaning you guys, empower children to think critical and challenge teachers? Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, who wants to start? Yeah. Go ahead. Oh, got this. You got this. Oh, we'll come up behind you.
All right, man. I'm excited. So there are two questions here. How do we teach children to think critically? And how do we encourage them to essentially challenge teachers in a respectful way? So the first is, we wrote an entire in-house leadership and character development curriculum. And I want to be careful about that, like what people think character development curriculum is. It's really about, how do you learn empathy? And it's not about lecturing kids. It's actual experiential, activities that the kids partake in, fun activities that then when we do the debrief, they come up and understand, oh, this is what empathy is. This is what listening skills are. This is why we have to communicate and collaborate, because this activity would have gone much more successful had we done this. They answer their own questions, right? Within that context, we're also teaching critical thinking. That is linked with our social studies curriculum. So I think David's with me on this one. In my best opinion, social studies is one of the very best vehicles for teaching critical thinking, which is, hey, you read this. Yeah, do you think this is true? Here, read these three other things. And then they're like, what? What the heck? Like, simple, man. We taught the textbook and Howard Zinn and then two other sources. And they're like, why are they so different? And then they start realizing very quickly, oh, the person that wrote this had a slanted view of what happened, and they're trying to persuade me of something. There they start really realizing information is only as powerful as who is communicating it and what their intention is. And that is the root cause of critical thought. You teach that, then they start thinking about all the information they're processing and being like, well, who's saying this? Why are they saying this? And what is their motive? And what do they have to gain from this? And then you infuse that with news media. So you make that connection. We make the connection from our leadership curriculum to social studies to news media. And we say, here's the news. Why are they so different? Then what that does is empower kids to understand this is what critical thinking is, because a lot of people can't even define critical thinking. That means that, hey, listen, like, we're all humans. We all have our own motives and persuasions and so forth. And your teachers, as much as you think they may be Yoda, are also humans. And what we do is we build an entire culture around here of the colectivo, the collective, of outstanding mutual respect. Yes, teachers should be respected. However, we are of the mindset of like, we earn our kids' respect.
Mhm.
But they also realize you got to earn ours too. We love you, but what are you doing to earn the teacher's respect? And how can we have that duality? And we do that through very pragmatic restorative justice practices, coming up with a contract at the beginning of the year that's fun and cool about, hey, check this out. How are you going to treat the teacher? But most importantly, the kids and the teachers work out, how do you want the teacher to treat you? Holy smokes, that one activity is a radical game changer. And then it's written on the wall and it stays there. So then when the teacher violates, it's like, oh, no, Ms. Ortega, we talked about this. It's on the wall. You're not staying accountable to what we agreed to. Boom. What that does is set up an incredible culture where we not only have how are you going to treat the teacher, how's the teacher going to teach you, but how are you going to treat each other, so that you allow for critical discourse to happen inside of the classroom, so that everyone understands the culture of the classroom is inquiry. We are allowed to challenge these thoughts regardless if they are from a student or from a teacher, but it's based upon the mutual understanding that we're going to do so in a respectful manner because we're challenging the idea, not the person. Now you've really taught critical thinking.
Yeah.
This gets back to what I was talking about with my previous comment and Chris WIA, which is this is part of the culture. And we have very clear, pragmatic, and strategic ways to set those cultures up to allow for these things. And it takes an inordinate amount of work, an incredible amount of consistency. But that is exactly how it's done. This isn't just like a vague idea. It's like, no, I've got the systemic practices. It's tough, but it works.
Man, this has been great. So, Mama Toya, we're at time, but were there any questions that we didn't get to? We can do a rapid thing where one of us just answers. We want to make sure you got everything you needed before we go into closing thoughts.
Okay, I got everything I needed, but you always tell me this is my show and I can stay as long as I want to.
Hey,
That's cool.
That's what I'm just told
Charles is
you.
also working on deadlines today, but go ahead.
Okay. I've been watching you for 2 years now.
Whatever you need.
No, I was just gonna say, thank you, gentlemen, for all the work that you do. I mean, often enough, well, every Friday night, and it's 6 o'clock here in Philly. It's happy hour time, but I don't drink, so whatever. But anyway, so I watch you guys every week, and I think I've missed how many episodes is this?
We in like
40,
the mid 40s, 50s.
43.
Yeah.
I might have missed 2. Okay. I'm always, I let you know I'm in the comments. Sometimes I can't comment, but I like the information that you give me because often enough I take your information back to my parent groups, right?
Awesome.
And I use it in the boardroom when I'm in a boardroom. And sometimes this education rolls over to all the advocacy work that I do. So I just want to say thank you so much for the work that you do. And I
No
also want to
problem.
thank you for actually, recognizing parents. And we keep saying parents, and Tanae in the comments, she made a comment. Often it might be family members, right? It
Yeah.
might be grandmothers, pop-ups, it might be cousins, you don't know, but family members, right? So I just want to thank you guys for seeing us and for advocating
Absolutely.
for us. And I appreciate you giving my voice a to your audience. And I want to say thank you. Love you guys.
And happy hour is an hour to be happy. It don't matter if you use the sauce or not.
Okay.
Be happy in your happy hour. Don't let the devil take that away.
Okay.
We're gonna come to you, David, for your final thoughts, brother.
Wow. Very powerful show. Thank you, Mama Toya, for joining us again. Like I said at the beginning of the show, you've been one of our best supporters, and I think it's for a reason. We bring content to everybody based on what we hear from our listeners. And yeah, you're right. It's we have the like we're a school leader, or we're a teacher, or we are parents, or we are caregivers, right? We care about children. I think that's the one thing that we all bring to this show, is that we authentically care about children first. And so I just want to really appreciate you for your voice, and for supporting our show, and for bringing this rich conversation to us today. It's very motivating, and so I just want to thank you for the work that you're doing in Philly and across the country. And so, open invitation to come back whenever you'd like. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah. First and foremost, today's show is incredible. Thank you, Mama Toya. Man, thank you. Not only was your perspective truly profound, but excellent questions, holding us accountable, but really drilling down into the specifics so that we understand that there is not just some magic formula. It is an incredible amount of diligent hard work going on to make these things happen, with very pragmatic and real solutions. But I also want to give an enormous shout out to our comment sections today, our audience. This has been one of the most engaged shows we've seen. Thank you so much for being awesome. Awesome
yeah,
audience.
we'll clap it up for the
Excellent
conversation from the audience.
comments.
Y'all have been great. Yes.
Just so thankful and blessed with our audience and the incredible questions. But I got to give just one more shout out to Mama Toya. What an outstanding show you were. Please rejoin us. We had such a great time with you.
Man, I think that's great. And just, one of the things I want to make sure that we covered. So if you go to Ebony, we put the link in there. Here is the Ebony article I did a long time ago. My God, 2016 at this point. But 5 questions for Black parents that y'all should be asking every school. Like, what's my child's reading level?
Mm-hmm.
Can we set up a regular time to check in? All that. So all those goodies are there. But to bring it back, let me take that out of here. Just in my final thoughts, I just want to thank you, Toya, for being here. And, again, I'm a part of a bunch of different things. Like A Black Hands offers a specific thing. Chris and Sharif show on Friday mornings offers a specific thing, and we offer a specific thing. I want to be the place, though, where parents can come. This is, what I want to do, fellas. Actually, I want parents to bring their issues. I want to let us know what the issue is, and we'll do some stuff behind the scenes with you, just so you can lay out the story of what happened. And then we just will make sure that we are your street level counselors to help you navigate through it. I want us to be a resource for our community and for our people. So we're going to get this written up, and we're going to get this out there. And Toya, you should be very proud, because this document, this resource for the community, wouldn't be possible. We wouldn't be working on it had you not come on and been part of this show. And if there are any other parents out there that want to come on and ask us questions, or leverage this expertise, we welcome you. And I just wanted to just say thank you to Toya, but also to David and to Omar, because this is what it's about, man. It might sound like I'm going hard or being very staunch, and it's just because there's a lot at stake. It's your baby at stake. And I know the difference between what the answer should be and what it is. I know what, when I'm answering these questions, maybe in a good, perfect world, teachers do got the capacity to make sure they educating every parent along with whatever. But I'm operating in this world where I can't get my kid that's in the 5th grade to be reading on 5th grade level. He reading on 2nd grade level, but still got an A in reading. Why is that a thing? How does that happen? I want to make sure that these Black kids and these brown kids their parents got the tools they need, because ain't nobody else looking out for them. Oakland just struck again today, just because they felt like it.
Right.
The first recourse is right now, striking used to be the nuclear option. Now it's just I don't think I want to work Friday. I'm mad about something. Put the
Man.
word out Monday. We ain't gonna be there. And in a
Man.
city where less than 30% of the black kids are reading on grade level, less than 40% of the brown kids are reading on grade level, and it's growing, and it ain't getting no better for kids. Nah, man. If you come to the South Star Classroom, we're gonna equip you with the armor that you need to make sure your babies get what they deserve. And sometimes that means there's gonna be some tough love for you. Go ahead, David. And
Let's
take
strike in Oakland with a teaching force that is overwhelmingly white, that doesn't live in Oakland, that doesn't have a natural accountability to the community, with a vote to authorize a strike of less than 30% of your teachers. Let's take a day off for essential working families that are reeling and trying to recover, and let's have a block party at the lake. How about that?
Yo, is that what happened?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that is what
They
happened.
had a block party?
Happening right now. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do it. Yeah.
What kind of
And
teachers
all
gone
and all-
wild stuff is this?
And here's the
Dr.
thing,
Cole
right?
said, yeah.
And I'm not mad at, and this is the thing. I'm not mad, and I will say this, and I'll take this heat. And David and I are used to this, David even more so, but I'll say this to even offer some cover, David. I'm not even mad at parents, right? Because the parents are trying to be on one accord and trying to be supportive of these educators and don't know if they're getting the wool pulled over their eyes, man. They don't know that some of these people are raking them along hot coals, and your kids can't read. But everything that good that happens in that school, somehow it's the teachers. Everything bad that happens is the system. And I would be very, very weary of that if I was a parent. And with that being said, for Toya, for David, for Omar, I'm Dr. Charles Cole III. Class is now adjourned, but we will be back in session, same bad time, same bad station next week. Y'all be smooth and be safe. Peace out.